What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Apparently, I forgot to say that yesterday because there was a lot of people in the comments that said it for me, and they let me know they were saying it for me. With that said, you see the title and the thumbnail, man. Let's talk about it. So, it's YouTube has been a trip the last month or two, right? Poor Gunner. All his friends have become foes, right? And what is it all behind? What started it all? I don't know. But I do know this, that there's a lot of people that, it's the same people repeatedly saying in my comments, oh, you should cut him loose. He's a liar. He's a snake and all this stuff, right? And, excuse me, the people that are saying these things are not speaking from personal experience. And I've said before in several videos, right, that one thing that I learned quick in prison is don't believe everything you hear or you'll inherit other people's problems. And I also don't base my interactions with someone off of someone else's interactions with someone. That'll get you in a wreck quick, right? But, you know, YouTube isn't the real world. YouTube isn't real life. YouTube is an alternate reality where people can do what they want, say what they want, regardless if it's true. And a half truth is a whole lie, right? So people have been talking about Gunner's paperwork, right? Okay. Now, as someone who had to deal with paperwork in prison, had to thoroughly vet paperwork in prison, someone who was actually in the youth authority for a number of years, someone who got off a lot in YA and got a lot of paperwork. Let's start there. Okay, now the paperwork that I saw, again, I don't watch when I see something, as soon as I catch something that's like that don't look right, I'm out, right? Because look at me personally, regardless of all the bullshit, I don't have an agenda against anyone. However, when you're dealing with people who do have an agenda against someone, who do proclaim animosity towards someone, you have to keep those two things in mind when you're listening to what they have to say about someone they do not like and they have an agenda against. Only a fool overlooks those things and takes everything that they say as gospel. Or, if not a fool, someone who already feels that way. So, again, now going back to the paperwork that I saw on YouTube. I saw where there was basically an incident packet, a DDMS incident packet from YA, right? Okay. And the first thing that jumped out at me was that the names were blacked out. YA doesn't blacken names out. Someone who was holding the paperwork blackened the names out. That was the first thing that caught my eye. I was like, I wonder what that agenda is. And so if you go back to when Gunner, and this was way before all this stuff happened, right? When Gunner talked about getting whacked in YA, he said what happened to him in the story. Go back and check his story. He says he got stabbed in the arm, in his wrist, right? But yet in the video from the little bit that I saw, they were calling him victim number 2. Victim number 2, if I remember right, got battery packed, I think, in his neck and his head. Someone else in the paperwork got stabbed in the wrist. That's the same story that Gunner told. I also saw where there was somebody testifying in court and they were being questioned about Gunner. So obviously that wasn't Gunner. And I saw the part where they asked him something along the lines, did Leonard Vidari tell you what happened? And the person said yes. And they asked him, well, what did he say happened? And the answer was, well, he wasn't really too sure on what happened, or he wasn't very clear on what happened, something like that. And once I saw those things, like I said, when I saw the names blacked out on YA and on an incident packet from YA, I was like, no, it doesn't happen. And then when I saw that part, I was like, so I don't get it, right? Now, that said, I did try to listen to the interview, the EBK interview with Dreamer, right? I don't know Dreamer. From everything Gunner has told me, Dreamer was a cool ass dude. He was down as fuck, right? I do know that I have done many, many, many lives with Gunner, right? We have done many lives together. And a lot of them, Dreamer donated money to Gunner. And a lot of them, Dreamer told Gunner he was a real one. So how am I to dissect this guy donating his hard-earned money, putting it out there? Gunner's a real motherfucker. He's a real one. And then when the wolves come out, when everybody has turned on Gunner, then this comes out. It's just strange to me. And when I say I tried to listen to it, I'll tell you one thing, and this is something on a side note. Maybe Dreamer is just, because he wasn't there at the time, and, he's just speaking from what he believed. And I don't know why it was asked, but he was asked, when did the 5-9 numbers come out in YA, right? And Dreamer said 1988. And that was kind of like when I had to turn it off. I think I listened to maybe a few minutes more, but I was just stuck on that. The very first YA number I remember, shout out to Spooky from Coachella. His YA number was 59000. He entered our unit, Nipomo, in Paso in 1991. I had a 5'8" number. I got busted in 1989. I went to YA February of 1990 and picked up my 5'8" number. So I don't know if later on that 5'9" number or YA numbers came into effect to mean something, but the years were completely off. Not to say that, I don't know what Dreamer said, but like I said, I just can't wrap my head around sending somebody money and saying that he's a real one on multiple occasions. And then now that shit has turned for Gunner, I'm not going to say that. Now that people have turned on Gunner, all this comes out. And I notice a lot of people that are talking about him used to praise him. You should be friendly with them. I don't know what happened in his relationships because I wasn't involved in those relationships. As a man, I mind my own business. I interact with who I interact with, and our interactions are our interactions, right? Again, redacted paperwork from YA doesn't exist. They don't black out names. That caught my eye off the top. Now, a lot of people don't like Gunner for whatever their reasons are. But me personally, I feel like a person should dislike or like a person based on their interactions and not someone else's. Being YouTube, eventually things will blow over. You will see more of these frenemy situations happen. You got to remember that these are, for the most part, social media friendships. And based off of an alternate reality, and it's weird, man. It really is. Like, I've been sitting back. I've been quiet. You know, I'm the type, I'm going to sit back and watch things unfold before I say anything. I'm not going to jump in the beginning. I will say that I believe that there's been a lot of fake paperwork floating around. I believe there's been a lot of doctored paperwork. But I also know this, that when a person hates you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's said. Their hate is going to stay. When people love you, they're going to love you no matter what. Those people in the middle are going to do whatever they do, right? But you would hope they would use common sense. When someone has an agenda, take that into account. When somebody exhibits animosity, take that into account. You know, I've been chilling with Gunner for a little over a year now, right? You know, and I know that there were some of the people that got mad at him got mad because they felt he put an address out. Having been talking, you know, every day to Gunner throughout that time period, I know for a fact he didn't do that. He knows I'm very against that. People on here want to have disputes and disagreements, whatever you want to call them. That's fine. Leave it here. But when you start involving people's homes, their loved ones, and people are going to say, oh, but you went at Jerry's loved ones. That was unfortunate. But people have been going after my loved ones for years now. That just happened to be the night where the pipe burst. I'm not justifying what I did. But understand, in this weird reality, people cross lines repeatedly. And then when someone else does it, it's the worst thing in the world. But that's pretty much my 2 cents. And anyone who's actually had to deal with paperwork, had to dissect paperwork, I just suggest you go back and look at the paperwork, all of the paperwork that's been put out on whoever it's been put out on. Those of you that have been in YA know there's no redacted names. I could tell a story. I actually told a story about when we got this one dude, and he gave up a 3-page statement on us. His name wasn't redacted. Why? We know who the fuck's talking. They know you know who's talking. He's the victim. YA does not redact names. They're going to be right there. Would the court redact names? I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know. But the real paperwork from YA, there wouldn't be any names redacted. Go back to Gunner's video. What was his injury? Is that the same injury as the one they're attributing the comments to? I don't know. Didn't seem like it to me. But anyways, everybody, please be safe. Be smart. Tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.